that look like they're ready for a fight. And when they see you approach, they move to bar your passage. They look you up and down. Nath, are you wearing faction colors?
No, I'm disguised as an in-depth.
Okay. Oh, that's right. You had established that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 4 of you, 5, because Ferocity is going with you.
Still have the skin in the game, baby.
Ferocity is Ferocity wearing Sensei colors?
Oh yeah.
Roll initiative.
Well,
Riot.
15.
15. And Kelian.
19.
Didn't even have a ferocity sheet up.
And Liberation.
11.
And Nath.
Nath X at 21.
21. Oops. Nath, what is your passive insight score?
15? Yep.
15? They look your group over, and this is exactly why you've put on the disguise, because you don't want to look like a Harmonium at the moment. But their gaze lands on Ferocity, and they all draw their weapons, and they shake their heads and move into attack. Nath, you go first.
How many of them are there?
There's 4 in the group that are approaching you, and you see a couple of other groups around in the bazaar. It looks like these indepts are guarding over some of these people that just don't have anywhere else to go. Like, if they can't hunker down here in the bazaar, the only other option would be to go to the hive.
Well, let's go ahead and hit the 4 of them with a mass suggestion.
Okay.
So they get to make a DC 18, I believe. Yep. DC 18 save. And Nath will say, I suggest you allow us to go on our way as we won't harm anyone in this bazaar, and tell us what's going on as we do.
An 18?
Yeah.
And they all fail. I almost got it. One of them had a 17. So you Jedi mind trick them, basically.
Yep.
So yeah, Nath does his Jedi mind trick. Tells them to explain to us what's going on and let us go on our way. And you see the guys, you see the spell take hold. But they haven't had a chance to actually put their weapons away. It looks like they're going to stand down, but Kelian, you have the initiative.
I'll kind of hold my hand up to the rest of the group behind my back, like, don't. I think we've got this.
Well, Kelian's still putting a bolt on his crossbow. But
I didn't get Ferocity's initiative, did I?
No, it was 15.
Okay. And
all Kelian says is, hey, we've been off plane. What's going on?
what is Ferocity's response? Very specifically, these 4 guys, they drew their weapons when they saw her, and were going to move in on her
Ferocity
first.
looks shocked, because she works with a lot of in-depths.
So what does she do on her action?
She was essentially just backing up, because she was caught out off guard.
What does Riot do?
Which of these guys looks the smartest? No, sorry. Which of these guys looks the dumbest?
The dumbest?
Yeah.
All of them for drawing weapons against us.
None of them look particularly... Make an insight check, actually. Go ahead and make an insight check.
12.
None of them look particularly, like, unintelligent. Like, nobody's on the spectrum. But they look terrified. They're very, very fearful. And very, very angry at Ferocity specifically.
Yeah.
But no, they don't look particularly dumb.
Yeah. Riot is going to say to them, relax, we work with Hollister off all the time. You can let us through. We're in his service.
And then finally, what does Liberation do to get the festivities kicked off here?
Liberation steps to intercede between the guys and Ferocity, but otherwise takes no other action.
Okay. And then the guys, when it comes around to their turn, you see them, they put their weapons up. One of them looks over and gives the eye to some of the other groups of indepts looking around, and just gives them each a nod real quick. And he turns back to Nath. Says, "You say you've been out of town for a while."
Yeah, and hopefully we're walking and talking. Hopefully, Sorkin production.
He says, "With respect, it would be a bad idea to head into the ladies' ward on account of the fighting."
Who's fighting?
And he says, "Bloody well fucking everyone." And when he says that, he gives Ferocity another very angry glare. He says, "You need to cover that up, love." And he nods at whatever sigil or thing she's wearing. That.
And Ferocity puts it in her pocket. She says, "Don't worry, I've done that one."
Ferocity, just make yourself look not like a sensate.
And she looks around. "You got it." And then she continues just having no sigil on.
Yeah, we continue. I mean, if it looks like they're going to give us passage at that point, we'll continue through.
Well, they explain what happened. That the Harmonium, backed with, in great force, backed with troops from the Sensates and the Sons of Mercy, marched on the armory early this morning as soon as public word of Hashkar's assassination hit the streets.
The color just drains out of Liberation's face.
I will let Nath make either history. History would be the best.
Okay.
To find out who the Sons of Mercy are if you don't know.
21.
21. Sons of Mercy is the name of a very old sigil faction that technically does not exist anymore. They worked very closely with the Harmonium when the Harmonium were first getting established in Sigil, being one of the newer factions themselves. The Sons of Mercy eventually got absorbed into what is now the Mercy Killers. It sounds very strange to all of your ears that the Harmonium and the Sensates would march in force on anyone in this fashion.
Yeah, and Ferocity just says, "How did that happen?"
And the Indep looks at Ferocity, and you can tell they're still they have magic suggestion. They can't raise arms against you, but
oh, I know why.
But yeah, he says, "We're just trying to keep these people safe. We don't want the trouble to spill over into the bazaar."
Sure, that makes sense.
Riot is going to answer Frosty's question. Listen, who does Aaron Montgomery hate more than anybody?
Duke Darkwood.
Right. Duke Darkwood is a power-hungry idiot. So
Right.
It makes sense that if he's the one behind the assassination, for her to ally with the Harmonium, who are all about preserving the law.
And one of the Indepts interrupts her and says, "No, 'twas the Doomguard. It's a cert."
What?
No. If it was the Doomguard, it was the Doomguard in Darkwood's employ.
And he shakes his head,
No
because the Harmonium struck them first.
Sensei.
Pentar was killed first. By the Hardheads, they say. Doomguard struck back against the governors.
Pentar?
Pentar is the factal of Doomguard. Or was
Yeah,
the
I mean...
factal.
Okay.
Mahogany met her once.
Pentar's
She
dead.
sucked.
And, yeah, the Indepts, they nod. They assert. Pentar is in fact dead.
What the fuck is going on?
I
I'm
don't
going
know
to
anymore.
immediately cast Ascending to Hallis Dwarf. Back in Sigil. Seems like all hell's broken loose. What should we do?
And you can't reach him. However, you don't get the feedback that he's dead. Just, you can't reach him. So here's what you guys learn. Here's what these Indepts claim, at least. You guys get the sense that hard facts are very hard to come by. There's a lot of rumor mongering going on. What had happened was the Doomguard began very loudly and boldly claiming that the Harmonium killed Pentar. They drummed up some kind of charges, and Pentar is gone. When that happened, immediately the Indepts in the Bazaar and through other areas in Sigil, who already didn't like the Harmonium, linked arms with the Doomguard. One of the... I forget if any of you met this character. I think Mahogany might have once or twice. The Eli Crumlich, the Cambion. I think you spoke to him when you went there and he gave you the Salt Sword.
Yes.
Pentar's boy toy. He started issuing magical weapons to any Indept who agreed to take up arms against the Harmonium. A few days after that, Briah Tomei, the de facto leader of the Indepts, vanished. A few days after that, the governors in the Harmonium began amassing forces, peacekeeping forces, in the Ladies' Ward. Strangely, though, the Mercy Killers did not join with that. Which, again, sounds very strange to a lot of you. Usually those three factions work in tandem when it comes to peacekeeping.
No, it doesn't sound strange.
No?
Something is not right in Denmark.
And the last thing that you learn, as far as these guys know, is that a proclamation was issued out of the Mercy Killers that the group operating in the prison, the proclamation was given by Arwen Swan's son.
Yeah.
Who is a paladin in the Mercy Killers, gave a proclamation that various records have been reviewed and that many people being held in the prison, a strangely large amount of them being Doomguard and Indepts, were found to be unjustly held and were released all at once. That was 2 days ago.
And he's within what?
The
group is he in?
Mercy Killers, who are now calling themselves the Sons of Mercy.
All right.
Wait, the entire faction has renamed themselves?
As far as these guys know.
Okay.
And then, that was 2 days ago. Then very late last night, a man showed up in the bazaar claiming to be a Doomguard that was held by Factal Nilesia unjustly for years, sentenced by Hashkar himself, and his hands were covered in blood. The man claims that he gouged out his eyes before he wrung that little dwarf's neck. And it was discovered that Hashkar had in fact been strangled. Then, a few hours later this morning, all hell broke loose in the Ladies' Ward, and then you guys popped in.
Has anybody seen this Doomguard?
Within a few minutes of his arrival in the bazaar, because remember the Harmonium had a great presence in the bazaar at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He was immediately captured by the Harmonium.
Where's he being held now?
These Indepts don't know, but presumably the barracks.
Nath, see if you can go find him.
I'll nod.
How many factions did you say splintered?
They're not... What do you mean by splintered?
He says that a few of the factions, like the Doomguard, are gone.
No, just the Factal is dead. There's still Doomguard in Sigil. It's just, and right now they're trying to defend the armory from a force of Harmonium and Sensates that attacked.
Right.
Did the first?
Let me just tell you what Ferocity's worry is here, real quick, just so that we can finish up my line of inquiry.
Okay, then we'll
which
go to
is
Nath.
Ferocity's worry is that there are still people calling themselves Mercy Killers, Mercy Killers, because that would mean there's one more faction in Sigil, and that would be very bad.
And you have to keep in mind that all of this has happened very quickly. And these guys are working with weird, bad information.
Did the guy who claimed to have assassinated the Hashkar give a name or anything?
Give his name, you mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
anybody that anybody in the bazaar knew. He had been in prison for a long time.
And no one got his name or anything like that.
Nobody had time. He showed up, he had bloody hands, he started bragging about strangling the Factal, and then Harmonium burst in and carried him off.
Okay.
Riot asks, where is the lady in all of this?
That's my
I'm
question.
shocked that she's allowed this to happen.
And
Of all the people,
one of the Indepts spits on the ground. Said that if the lady gave a barrier's nut about any in-depth, he's never known it.
Yeah, Nath just kind of actually looks at Riot for a second like she's crazy. Like, I thought she mostly got involved herself by throwing people she didn't like into mazes.
Yeah,
She actually got involved.
She gets
in
herself
politics.
involved when there's huge bloody war in the streets.
and Ferocity
What
says,
we've got.
My understanding was it was when war from other planes comes to Sigil. I think Sigil can have its own wars. Place doesn't exactly have a
and
reputation
Ferocity
of
shakes
being
her head
kind.
quickly, and she says, "No, absolutely not. That's what I'm worried about. About, how many hundred years, Brick Road?
600.
About 600 years ago, there were a lot more factions, and the lady stopped it when they broke into war. That's why we have the number we have now.
Yeah. I mean, I recognize you're not from here, Nath, but this sort of thing is not supposed to happen.
You hear Eldov call from across the city, "The fuck it isn't!"
This city sucks.
Sucks my nut.
Yeah, all right. Well, I'll go see what I can dig up at the barracks.
Okay, so you're going to, when you reach the ladies' ward, you're going to break off and head to the barracks?
Yeah.
And the rest of you are going to continue to the armory?
I don't know what we want to do at this point.
Yeah.
Because as you approach that direction, as you continue moving into the ladies' ward, you do hear the sounds of fighting in that direction, of mass combat.
Yeah.
You don't see another explosion quite as large, but I mean, there's magic being slung around. Every so often, arrows rain from above, having been shot across the gravity plane. It's nasty right now.
If the lady shows up in the middle of that, we'll all get flayed anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also what I'm thinking.
Yeah, we need to get low.
We need to figure things out. We don't need to fight. We need to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so right now I've got Mahogany's in the gym, Nath is headed to the barracks. What are the other three, or I guess Ferocity can do something too if she wants. At this point, you can exit Ferocity from the story whenever you feel comfortable. She's a sensate. I had to attack her.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, it's something crazy happening. She's probably going to go look at the edges and then rapidly go leave.
Okay, so what are Riot and Kelian and Liberation going to do as far as finding out what's going on?
I think we need to find out what happens from the one who saw it all.
I want to go to the prison. 'Cause I want to know what Arwen Swanson is about.
Okay.
Actually, considering that Ferocity works at the place that was trying to stop this from happening, I think she's going to go check in on work. Hey guys, you seem to have done a bad job.
Go to the fest hall?
Bad job.
No, she's going to go to Serendipity.
Oh, I forget what that is.
It's on the edges of the bazaar, I think.
Okay. I'm still going to go ahead and transition her out of the story at this point. Though.
Oh yeah, she should absolutely leave the story. I don't need to be controlling 15,000 characters. That was enough.
So
I'm just saying that's what she's doing.
for next week, though, I am going to need the rest of you to just relinquish control of your character directly to Nodal. So it's just going to be me and him from now on. And Liberation, you said you're going to attempt to get in touch with Khalil?
Actually, that's not a bad idea. Either that or
I assumed that's what you meant by the one who sees everything.
the one who. Well, when I was originally, the thought originally popped into my head, I was thinking the oldest barmy.
Oh, well, you can do that too.
Well, that's why I was thinking prison.
But mentioning Khalil, like, no, that's also a really good idea.
The oldest Barmy's not in the prison. He's in the gatehouse,
He's in
which
the
is on the
gatehouse,
other
right.
side of the city. The gatehouse is over here in the Hive, which is pretty
Yeah.
far away from all the fighting, but the Hive is not pleasant on a good day.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
I just like the idea that you go in there and it's just completely calm and there's just a bunch of people pissed about it because this is the most chaotic place in the city.
So Liberation
No,
is...
the prison actually does sound like a better idea. Yes.
Okay.
All right, so you're coming with Riot.
And what about Kelian?
What about Kelian? So, what's everyone else doing? Sorry.
Mahogany
Riot.
was called into the gymnasium. Nath is headed
Right.
to the barracks
Do
to
that.
find out if he can find that Doomguard prisoner. Riot and
Don't wanna
Liberation
do
are
that.
going to the prison.
Yeah. Let's go to the prison.
Okay.
Yeah, no, let's go to prison.
Mahogany.
Yeah.
You're taken into the gymnasium. Gymnasium is closed to the public today. You cannot remember. You can't remember if in your whole life if you've ever seen that happen. It's under heavy guard. They subject everybody who comes through the doors, and they're not allowing anybody in except ciphers at this point. But they subject everybody to, like, they pat you down. They magically pat you down too to make sure that you're not wearing a magical disguise of some kind. You are very well regarded amongst the ciphers, especially recently, having gone. I mean, word has gotten back and spread around that the Factal went on this adventure with you. But right now, everybody is very apprehensive, and nobody quite knows what's going on. Here's what you glean.
Yep.
Factal Reese has not been seen in a week. Nobody saw her leave. Usually, I mean, she doesn't always announce her business, but usually she takes people with her when she travels. Just nobody's seen her. She went to sleep one night, and that was it. Nobody's seen her since then. Two other factions, the Godsman and the Sign of One, both, before the fighting broke out, were in a period of celebration, because they both claim their factals have ascended. Factal Darius of the Sign of One, and Factal Ambar of the Godsman. This is something the ciphers are familiar with, because 20 some odd years ago, a lot of people watched then Factal Valny of the ciphers transcend. She just ceased to be. That's the whole point of your order. And there's a lot of talk that that's what's happened to Reese. There's some kind of cosmic reckoning going on that 3 of these factals have been reclaimed by the planes.
Whereas Mahogany knows that Reese just pissed off the lady.
So that's the question. Does Mahogany explain what he knows?
Well, Mahogany, the first thing he does is, because he's done the whole sitting downstairs thing and it didn't lead to anything good.
Right.
Is he heads up to looking for the person who's most, like, what's the rank right underneath Factal?
It would
Is
be
factotums?
Factotums, and
Yeah.
none are in evidence. It is just the rank and file here today. Nobody knows what's going on. As far as who's like the highest level cipher, at the moment, that's you.
Yeah, and Mahogany, as soon as he realizes that, takes charge.
Okay. By doing what?
Oh my
He
God.
tries to, he keeps the people who are at the front gates there.
Mm-hmm.
And then he looks around and finds, who's the guy who was at the front
Rodenoth?
desk? Rodenoth? Is Rodenoth there?
He's not.
He does a quick head count and looking for anyone who knows how to cast sendings, that sort of thing. Any messages.
That's already been tried. I mean, nobody's seen her in 7 days.
No, Reese is a lost cause.
Yeah.
He wants to find the people under Reese.
Okay. So you're setting to work instilling some order. The conversation right now, there's 2 big main topics. The topic for the past week is it time to select a new factal? If Reese transcended, who is going to take her place as Master of the Spirit? I mean, she was grooming this Earth Genasi for that role, but then she went and got her full self killed.
Yeah.
The other talk is, I mean, a lot of people are very charged about what's happening in the ladies' ward, and a lot of these people want to go and fight. The question is, on what side should the Transcendent Order fight if they take one?
Factal Mahogany is my favorite factal.
Yeah.
Here is
And,
Go ahead.
and Mahogany's viewpoint on that is that right now nobody has any idea what's going on, and sometimes the right thing to do is nothing.
So what's your counsel to them then? Like, what course of action?
He says that he keeps the people out sending for messages for the factals, but he also, if we can find anyone a little lower, and he sends a runner over to Serendipity to find anyone who there can cast that kind of magic, because remember, we keep several people on retainer whose that's their job.
I mean, you have access to those kind of resources at the gymnasium. There are wizards and things in the faction. But when you attempt, you're not able to reach some of these people.
He starts contacting some of the higher-ups of other factions that he's had dealings with, trying to figure out from them what their viewpoint is on what's going on.
Like who?
I think probably the first one is... Because he didn't hear about the Doomguard. But he figures the Factal's a lost cause, because all these Factals are lost causes.
Okay.
So who's the guy who gave him the sword?
He wasn't the Factal, that was Eli Cromlich. Factal is Pentar. Eli is her sex object.
Exactly, and that's why Mahogany is trying to send a message to him.
Okay, and what message do you send?
What do you think is going on? And then he thinks to himself, this is not a fucking cantrip.
The response you get is that the Harmonium and the Sensates have brought violence and destruction to them, and that he asks that your faction stand with them in defense of the free people of Sigil.
Alright, yeah, that sounds horseshit. So let's find out what's going on with the Sensates.
Who do you try to contact?
So I've been hired by the Sensates a few times, which implies to me that it would be someone who has at least a minor rank in that faction. I'm going to talk to them.
Okay. And the person you try to contact is dead. You get the same sensation that Riot did when you pick a name out of a hat and try to reach out to this sensate that you've had dealings with on several occasions, delivering wood for flutes or whatever sensate nonsense they get into. But no, that person is dead.
At that point, Mahogany writes out a list of some people he knows in other factions, and he says, anyone else who knows anyone higher up that you can trust the word of, find out what they think is going on, don't take it as truth.
Okay.
I'll be right back. And Mahogany heads out to head over to the Sensates.
To head over to the fest hall?
Yeah.
Okay. Nath.
Mm-hmm.
Getting to the barracks in disguise, you're going to, first of all, I'm assuming you're going to be trying to avoid any fighting that's spilling out into the streets.
I mean, as soon as... Well, okay, if I run into a fight, I'm just going to, try... Well, I'd actually probably... Nath would try and stop it. So, we'll see. What's the first obstacle that he encounters, basically?
The first obstacle is a rolling plume of smoke that is coming from the direction of the armory, and there's not a lot of wind in Sigil, so it's just kind of listing there. But you see that somebody's magically tried to clear it away, and it's moving in over the ladies' ward. The people in the ladies' ward have a lot of different kind of, I guess they'd be abjurations to make sure that the smog is not as thick here as other places of the city. So this is a very weird sight to you. As far as breaking up fights, I mean, you see some of the fights spilling out into the streets. It's pure chaos. The deeper you get into the ladies' ward, the closer you get to the armory. So the big difficulty is going to be not getting caught up in one of these fights if you want to try to stay out of them. If you attempt to stop them, you're going to be at it all day, and you're not sure how successful you'll be.
How far am I from the barracks when I actually reach the ladies' ward and start running into the fights?
You start seeing the fighting out in the streets. Actually, the edges of them. People carrying wounded away from the main fighting. Mostly Harmonium wounded. People wearing Harmonium and what you recognize as Mercy Killer garb. Although some are fighters in the Sensates too, who don't have like traditional uniforms. And so that's what you see first. Getting to the barracks, the Harmonium have the path kind of locked down to make sure that the fight doesn't spill into their territory. The problem is you're in disguise. They're not going to let you anywhere near the place.
Yeah, no, as soon as I reach Harmonium basically, as soon as I reach Harmonium-controlled space, I'll just build a disguise, reach into my pack, and put my lieutenant's badge on,
Okay.
and just pull rank and say, heading to the barracks.
And they look. Oh, Lieutenant Nath. They were.
Yeah, Lieutenant Nath under Alice Dwarf.
We have orders from the Factal to bring you to him if you were to surface.
Just sort of nod and get walking.
And they do. They take you into the barracks, and you've been up into Saren's quarters a couple of times. The barracks has a skeleton crew right now. Most of the fighting men are out in the streets at this point. And there's a lot of confusion and trepidation in the people here. When you reach Saren's quarters, he's in there with two of his guard detail that you've met on a couple of occasions. He looks like a man who hasn't slept ever in his life. He's wearing his full plate armor, and he looks like he's been sleeping in it for a couple of days. And as you come in, he looks extremely shocked and relieved to see you. And he says that he was afraid that you had been caught up in the fighting and killed.
No, I was off the plane. Conveniently, or from the looks of the hull that's broken loose, inconveniently enough.
And he says it's worse than you likely know, and he bids you sit.
I'll sit down.
One of his guard detail step forward to intercept you, and Saren waves him off, has him stand back. Saren takes a tea kettle and starts filling a mug on his desk. He offers you some.
I'll take it.
Okay. He asks what you know.
Very little. I spoke to some in-depths who were defending the Bazaar on my way in. They gave me a very brief political rundown, but I don't necessarily think that it's reliable information. I tried to contact Talus Dwarf and my spell failed. That's basically the total sum of my objective knowledge.
He asks what you know about the situation inside the Mercy Killers.
I haven't been up to date on politics of any of the other factions.
He says that he's... No doubt you've heard the Doomguard claiming the Harmonium have killed their Factal.
Nod.
And it's absolutely not true. You, of course, know that the Harmonium do not deal in assassinations. That's not what we're here to accomplish. He says, however... Go ahead.
I think between, there's, it's just the most obvious thing in the world, looking between the two of their faces at that point. Obviously.
Okay. He says he has no idea what happened to Pentar. However, he knows Reese, Pentar, Briah Tomei, Allison Nylesia, Darius, Terrence, and Ambar are all missing.
Hold on. Okay, after Nylesia, can you list the rest again?
Darius of the Signers, Terrence of the Aethar, and Ambar of the Godsmen. They all vanished at some point in the week leading up to Hashkar being killed. He has not been able to confirm a sighting of Aaron Montgomery, Rowan Darkwood, Factal Srouse of the Bleakers, or, as a technicality, Skull of the Dustman, but nobody's seen Factal Skull in centuries.
What about Koran?
Liberation's not there.
I know. I'm just.
What's the Factal of the? Hold on, I'm blanking on the faction name. The Governors.
Hashkar.
What's his name?
Yeah, he's
Hashkar.
he's the one who's been
He's
assassinated.
super dead.
Yep. Okay.
He's the one who it was your job to protect. Remember that?
Right.
Remember that?
Yep.
He says that as far as he knows, he is the only authority in the City of Doors at the moment. He says the Mercy Killers have fallen into chaos. Fortunately, his good friend, Arl Swan's son, has organized what he could in the prison and taken charge of the place. But a great amount of Mercy Killers led by... And he's checking scrolled notes and things spread out all over his desk as he's putting together disparate pieces of reports and information that he's getting from all over. He says, a man named Hasim Thunderborn has taken control of a second group of Mercy Killers. And sad to say, but they're entirely criminal.
And are those the ones calling themselves the Sons of Mercy?
He shakes his head. Says they're calling themselves the Sod Killers. Do you ask about Factal Quran at all?
No.
Nobody cares.
No one cares about facts.
Certainly doesn't care about Factal Quran.
He says...
he's not amazed, because the lady doesn't care.
That the Doomguard, along with this large, violent group of Indepts that they've been butting heads with for over a year at this point, at first he thought that this was their doing. That somehow this organized attack on basically every faction's leader over this short period of time was some Doomguard ploy that the Indepts were playing into. He says... Can you what?
Oh, I was saying, I'm a little bit surprised nobody is blaming the anarchists in any of this. with every factional gone.
No, they know the anarchists can't succeed at anything.
Right.
Factal Saren says the first step in restoring order to Sigil. Very sad to say. You can see that the loss of life is weighing very heavily on this man. He's not he's lawful good. So he says we need to secure the armaments in the armory and seize it. It needs to come under Harmonium control by tonight.
Who's leading the Sensates if Montgomery's missing?
He says he doesn't know. He knows that Eli Cromlich is organizing the defense at the armory, and that many of the Sensates, or all of the Sensates that are fighting along with him, are currently they were happy to take orders from Swan's son and his men. Because the Sensates don't have a standing army. They don't have soldiers or a rank and file to speak of. So right now, Swan's son is organizing the Sensates on the attack. They've been completely invaluable to us. There are a great number of spellcasters in the Sensates, far and above the resources the Harmonium and Sons of Mercy are able to muster. So we are definitely glad to have their aid.
Did, if you don't mind a somewhat personal question, has Dwaft or any representatives of his faction checked in? I know you might not approve of his methods, but this is the exact sort of thing he would be working to prevent.
He says that he doesn't know. That you would know more about Hollis Dwath than he does. So any information that you have would be extremely helpful.
I just, again, shake my head. I sent a sending. I got no response. At any rate, I mean, the primary concern should be stopping the fighting. And even if we secure the armory, even if we can stop the fighting without securing the armory, if we could have a truce, that would be more valuable. We can talk things over instead of solving things with swords.
And he shakes his head and says there can be no truce at this point. Cromlich has been giving sinker swords to anybody who swears to destroy us. And
then he should be lawfully apprehended.
He says that he's going to give you a contingent of men and order you to the fighting. That he wants you to take the armory by force and see that it's seized. And then after that, They can see to the lawful apprehension of Cromlich. For the time, they're going to keep him and all other high-profile prisoners here at the barracks until Swan's son gets his mess sorted out.
How many spellcasters can you give me that have non-lethal spells?
And he tells you that non-lethal spells will not avail you in a fight like this.
You'd be surprised.
So, what is Nath's plan here?
I mean, Nath is absolutely okay with, taking a small group and maybe dimension dooring them in and trying to take the place over by just, getting the leadership. And if it comes down to it, in an actual fight, he might actually have to kill them, but ideally disabling them.
So you're aimed going for the leadership, like Cromlich in specific?
Whoever's running the place, yeah.
Okay. You're given a contingent of 20 very green hardhead soldiers. Spellcasters, 0. These are level 1 fighters at best. I mean, they are down to... They were not expecting this kind of resistance. They were expecting to just give a lawful order for the Doomguard to stand down and see it carried out.
They have man catchers?
Yeah, he can issue you man catchers.
Okay. I want everyone in my squad to have man catchers then.
He tells you to be especially careful of the Doomguard blades, and he describes to you what they look like. He says that their bite is especially gruesome, and many indepts are carrying them now. And he starts writing out the order for man catchers and whatnot, and you see his hand stop for a moment, and he coughs, and he starts to have trouble breathing. After a few moments... Go ahead.
I'll kind of motion to one of the guards. Is that normal? Just kind of whisper to him.
They look at each other like they don't know what's going on. Then you hear a clatter as Saren falls forward on his desk. And his eyes are rolled back in his head, and blood starts to seep from the side. And he reaches out for his mug of tea that he's been drinking. And then he starts choking on his blood. Roll initiative.
What round does blood go on?
What round is blood?
Nath acts at 7.
At 7.
It's a lair action, so maybe 20.
Ha! I knew they had to be here somewhere.
Alright. Nath, unless you have some magical means to prevent it, you are surprised.
No, I don't have foresight, I have mind blank.
So you're just watching, and from over the course of a couple of moments, whatever was in this drink took hold. And it clatters forward, and you're turning around to ask the guard detail to step in. Is this normal? What's happening? What's going on? You see them exchange a glance like they don't know what's going on. You hear the clatter, and they both step forward with knives in their hands. And the first one steps in on you. And that has an AC, right?
I believe it's 15?
15. And the second one. So out of 4 stabs, I got 1 hit. For 4 points of damage. As they let in with these knives, and they begin just stabbing at you. They want to end this very quickly. You're a witness to this, but only one of the knives bites deep enough to deal damage. Then they get to try that one more time, because you were surprised. 2 misses. 2 more misses. So you've been cut and slashed at, but not cut to ribbons like they were expecting. They clearly underestimated you.
Not finding their purchase through my adamantine ropes, huh?
Exactly.
How big is this room?
This is Saren's personal quarters. That's kind of... The place you're sitting now is like his little office space, which is kind of sequestered off from the rest of the quarters. How big do you need it to be for whatever cool thing you're about to do?
I mean, I just need it to not be. Honestly, it almost doesn't matter. Walk out of the room so that they'll get some stabs of opportunity.
Sure. Oh, that's a crit, actually. Oh, you can't be crit. Never
I'm
mind.
immune to crits.
So yeah, one more stab for 4 points of
Okay.
slashing damage.
And then let's put them in the bubble. Let's do a hemispherical wall of force around the entire room.
Okay. Including Saren hunched over on the desk.
If I can get just them and not Saren, I will. I can choose which side creatures on the border go in, so...
Okay, yeah, you can do that. That's fine.
And then I'll yell for the guards.
And, I mean, you poke your head out.
Wait.
and the place was a skeleton crew coming in, but you eventually do get a hold of a couple of the soldiers, the rank and file here.
And I'll ask them who they're reporting to, and what was the last person ranked above private you saw?
You? Probably coming through.
Other than me, obviously.
That would be the Factyl. Everyone else is commanding troops. And they're looking over your shoulder to see what's going on in the room. They don't have the bad news just yet.
The Factyl's been assassinated. I've captured 2. I've captured both of the assassins in this chamber. Please go in there, get at least 3 people to get all the proper evidence. That wall will be up for 10 minutes. I'll tell you when to drop it. We'll put them in custody.
Can they hear through the wall of force?
I honestly don't know.
So you're basically setting these guys on this wall of force. You'll be back in a few minutes.
No, I'm telling them to go get people to get all the evidence they need from the scene,
Okay.
and also bring 3 or 4 hardheads with man catchers for when I drop the wall.
Gotcha. These guys are flabbergasted that Saren is assassinated. I mean, they're hearing stories about Factyls dropping like flies all over town.
Or are they just faking it?
They're all faking. It's just a big ploy. You guys were
Are they
away
all
from Sigil
assassins?
too long.
I mean, yeah, I can't. I will go over and make sure that he's actually dead, and not just bleeding
He
out.
is, by the time you get
Yeah,
him.
that
It's
sounded like it.
an extremely potent poison. Make it either a religion or an arcana check. If it's arcana, make it a disadvantage.
A religion check. Well, he's gone to his god now.
That's a 20 on religion.
On religion?
Yep.
Saren was a paladin. And paladins have... I think in 5e they literally have immunity to poison and disease.
Right. Yeah.
So the fact that he was poisoned is incredibly scary. That this man could have been poisoned by people that he... I mean, you've seen these 2 people of his guard detail every time you've been in the barracks since you arrived in Sigil. And now they poisoned him. But yeah, they set to work. Figuring out what they can do in the scene. You secure some man catchers. What do you do with the 2 assassins?
We have anti-magic cells.
Absolutely.
Yep, lock them in the anti-magic cells.
Okay.
Make sure they always have a guard on them. Like I want 3 people on rotation. I want always there to be 2 people watching each of these cells.
Okay.
And each other.
Yeah, exactly.
And each other. Riot, Liberation, and Kelian.
Yeah.
Heading
Yes.
for the prison.
Hello.
The prison, and haha, but the prison's on lockdown. Right? They are absolutely not admitting anyone in today unless you are seeking refuge from the fights. If that's the case, then they will find space for you in the courtyard of the prison, which is where a lot of the local nobles from the ladies' ward are currently holding up, while their property and their livelihoods are at stake in the fighting.
Riot is going to pretend to be a local noble and say these are 2 of my retainers.
Okay.
Liberation does his best to stone vase.
Riot, make an insight check.
It's a 13.
The mercy killers outside of the prison First of all, they're incredibly well armed. And Mercy Killers have standard issue armor and stuff they wear, but a lot of the times, just in the streets, they won't wear plates. And these guys are. And you see that they're very kind of confused, a little scared, and they do admit you into the courtyard area of the prison. And it's not a large area. We're not talking like the prison yard. We're talking like the courtyard proper, just inside the main outer wall. You won't have any access to the prisoners from there. But you realize they're breaking protocol. They don't ask any questions. They don't pat you down. They don't grill you on anything. These guys clearly don't know what they're doing. And nobody's at the wheel here.
Once I'm inside,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to look around the rest of the refugees to see if anybody here is also an anarchist. See if I can spot the signs.
Are you looking just for anybody who's an anarchist? Or are you looking specifically for members of your cell that you have planted in the prison?
Members of my cell.
Okay, go ahead and make a perception check. What are the other two doing?
Oh, come on.
Is it possible to pull up a map of the prison?
Sure. Let me go to my favorite website here.
Yeah.
FantasyNameGenerators.com?
Oh, I'm sorry, my second favorite website.
That perception check was a 14.
A 14? Okay, I'll get to that
Yeah.
in just a second.
Oh, how
I
much
can't roll
trouble do I
today.
want to get Kelian in?
Ah, these guys suck.
I mean, he said the magic words, no one's at the wheel, so...
Your faction.
Beautiful, thank you.
So, you guys were brought into the main walls here. So you've got the prison yard. They have kind of erected a makeshift barrier down one part of the yard where some of these refugees are sitting. And these are scared noblemen, noble families, the good people of Sigil who are not... they were brought into the walls by the Sons of Mercy. There are no prisoners in the yard whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, here you go, Kelian.
Are the guard towers manned at all? Or is it more just dopes who don't know what they're doing, trying their...
Difficult to
don't know how
say
to put it
from this distance, but you know that even a dope can fire an arrow.
Okay. But there are guards up there.
Yeah, you do see the walls are manned, yes.
Okay.
You probably don't know anything about the layout of the underground portions.
I doubt it, yeah.
Riot knows a fair bit, because you've had people here forever.
Well...
You guys did take the barrel, but that's not
Yeah,
all
I
you
was,
do
I
is
was
get in
just
this
about
barrel.
to say, is that the barrel...
Yeah.
That's true. I would let
did.
Kelian make an influence roll with Locksmith to find specific knowledge about the prison that would help you decide. Riot, you do notice one of your cell members in disguise.
Give me a
And
moment.
he locks eyes with you for a second and then immediately lowers his head. While Kelian's working on that. What's Liberation up to?
Yeah, it's gonna... What Kelian's gonna do is what depending on what Liberation's gonna do.
Okay.
So.
Liberation is just kind of milling about at the moment near Riot, just trying to
I'm
look
gonna...
like,
Yeah.
like playing the part that Riot has rused up so far.
Okay.
I'm going to spend a while casting rares on myself and my cell member.
Okay. Is the casting time literally a minute?
It's usually 10 minutes, because if I cast it as a ritual.
Are you doing that, or?
I'm trying to think if I would probably get spotted by somebody if I was casting a spell.
Yeah. No, casting time
yeah.
for this is only one action if you're not doing it as a ritual.
Oh, so it's a minute.
Wait, no, it's plus 10 minutes.
Oh, it's plus 10 minutes? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
As a ritual,
I'll
it
go-
takes 10 minutes to cast. Otherwise, it's one action.
Yeah, then I'll cast it as an actual spell.
Okay. And He doesn't look up at you again when you make telepathic contact.
Mm-hmm.
But he tells you he's surprised you're here. He can't believe you're alive.
I'll tell him I've been off plane. I only got back to Sigil about an hour ago.
He tells you the cell is gone. That, I mean, absent of you, you've been an excellent patron, but you're not really... Their cell leader out in the field was some other man, one of the other guys in the cell. That he vanished without a trace. The same day that... I'm sorry, the day before Factal Nilesia did.
Factal Nilesia's gone too?
He says that the Mercy Killers, or... And he corrects himself. Sorry, the Sons of Mercy haven't publicly released that information, but yes, she's gone, and that's what's caused the faction to split.
Why did Swan's Son release specifically the Doomguard and the Indeps?
He says, he asks for your forgiveness for a moment. He says, I honestly, when, I don't have a name for the character you leave in charge of the cell when you're gone, but once he disappeared, some of the rest of us scattered, and I've been staying here for the sake of safety, keeping a low profile. I haven't really been working it.
Alright, fair enough. Is there anything else you can tell us about what's been going on? I'm kind of low on information here.
He tells you that he's tried to tap other contacts with other cells, people he's worked with in the past, even going so far as to look at names, like people, bridges and things that he's burned.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of high-ranking anarchists, people that you would only know by reputation, are missing, just vanished. Including the guy that you left in charge of your cell. He says if you give him a couple of days, he might be able to get everybody back together, back here at the prison, and then take orders directly from you and figure out what you want to do with this. He says he's got some ideas, but he doesn't have the capital to put anything into play. You get the sense that he kind of he wants to make Swan's Son vanish next, basically.
Yeah. How deep were you into the Mercy Killers? Could you get me an audience with Swan's Son if you needed?
He absolutely can.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is right now Swan's Son is leading an attack against the armory deeper in the Ladies' Ward. He's not here.
So they're allied with the Harmonium and the Sensates?
He nods. He says a lot of Sensates showed up here this morning. Once word of Hashkar started hitting... Excuse me, I'm all burpy all of a sudden. Started hitting the streets.
I don't understand this at all.
Yeah, Swan's Son took his fighting soldiers, peacekeepers and the Mercy Killers, Sons of Mercy, and he led them and the Sensates to the armory under the direction of the Harmonium. He thinks he has that right.
So he pardons a bunch of Doomguard and Indeps, who then... And then he joins the factions making a move against the Doomguard and Indeps?
He says...
I don't understand his motive here.
Who the hell knows how the minds of these lawful types work?
Yeah.
Completely unpredictable. They should be called chaotic, really. But yeah, he has not been in his... As soon as he saw the shit hit the fan, he dropped his Mercy Killer persona and found a new identity for himself as just this disheveled wretch seeking refuge. But yeah, if you need him to, once the attack is over, provided Swan's Son survives, absolutely, right. He can get you an audience, no problem.
Great. I'll appreciate it. I'll lay low here as a noble.
Okay. Kelian and Liberation, are you intend to lay low with Riot?
Tell me about this area here.
The lobby?
I'm assuming, yeah, we came in through this entrance and was escorted just straight through into the...
Kelian has made a lot of visits to the prison to visit with Doffinder, which Doffinder hated, by the way.
I know. We should
Kelian-
probably
wonder
check
where
on
she
her.
is.
She never had the inclination
Yeah.
to go into the prison, but I mean, you were never allowed into the prison anyway. You didn't have official business. Whenever you met with Dofrinder, you either spoke with her in this lobby, or she would arrange to meet you somewhere else. As a matter of course, you would never get past the inside of the wall here. Like, all these rooms are inside the main curtain wall of the prison.
Mm-hmm.
So what else do you need to know about this area?
I'm wondering if I can go exploring.
If you can go explore. You can. I don't have a lot of details about what's there, but
Okay.
what are you looking for?
It's just that this room in particular, Errol Swanson's quarters, seems interesting.
It's right next door to Serendipity, apparently.
But I don't know if there's like, I'm assuming if there's like guards in the way.
What isn't?
Like,
There are a lot of
then
guards
it's-
stationed in the lobby, yes.
Kelian goes up to one of the guards and says, "Excuse me, where's the restroom?"
And he just motions to a corner of the yard that the people have been using. Because the Mercy Killers are not allowing any of these people within the walls, that's for sure.
And Kelian lets out a little bit of a scuff, like, "Oh, you can't possibly expect me to go in there in public, do you?"
He looks you up and down, and he advises you to hold it until the fighting is over. He's not sure why he should care about this predicament you're in at all. He's got bigger things to worry about.
What do they do if I start to push my way through?
To get back into the lobby area?
Yeah.
I mean, they make some motions to stop you because it's extremely dangerous out right now. What they're mainly worried about is if the Doomguard win this fight, if this group of Doomguard and Indepts win the fight at the armory, they're going to immediately turn on either the barracks or the prison. So the people left behind here are kind of preparing to receive that attack if it comes. If you want to go out into the street and meet it, they advise you not to, but they're not your daddy. They're not gonna stop you.
No, it's okay. I'm just trying to find the little Aasimars room, that's all.
What is Liberation's take on this P quest that Kelian's on?
Liberation is kind of got what Khalil has said and what, well, not really Khalil, but more what the oldest Barmy said.
Mm-hmm.
Liberation goes for the journal and starts looking for anything inside that journal that has to do with what LC Clone had experienced that might give some kind of clue as to what all this could mean.
And there's nothing in there about that.
Nothing.
Nope, there's nothing. LC Clone didn't have any. He didn't write about the factions very often at all, except his own experiences with the Godsmen.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the next?
Hold on, Nick. Who was our friend in the Mercy Killers? The Justicar.
Yeah,
INA White Spear.
that's
We
right.
need to find her, if we can.
I'll
I mean, do you ask
I'll-
around about her in the prison?
Yes.
And she's with Swan Sun, fighting at the armory.
We need to.
Kelian takes this moment to go over to the bushes.
What about the what
Liberation.
About Doctor?
Roll a.
Kelian, roll initiative.
What was Liberation's? What was Liberation's take on INA? I don't think they had extensive contact, but the few times that he's met her, what was his basic take on her?
That she is. He kind of takes a page from Mahogany's book and says she is what the faction needs at the moment.
Okay. LC Clone does have in his journal about White Spear, because LC Clone spent some time with her at Daniel's Keep.
Yes.
INA White Spear was having a crisis of faith because she did not believe in the direction the faction was going. So Liberation and the rest of you would be able to, based on that, surmise that leadership under Swan's Son would be very agreeable to her. And that this thing about seizing the armory to ensure that the Doomguard and violent Indepts don't take these swords against the people of Sigil would be exactly in her wheelhouse. That's exactly what she would do.
We need to find Dolphinder.
Dude,
Yeah, where is she?
Dolphinder's here on her guard detail, just not in the yard.
No, don't.
If you can arrange to have her brought back up. Is that what you're doing?
Yes, I need to speak with Dolphinder.
We're about to go to break, but before we do, let's go ahead. What's Mahogany's next move?
All right, so my move is once I get a little bit of information from the Sensates, I'm going to go back and tell the ciphers to block out our area of the wheel, because I mean it's just a wheel. We can get from side to side of it.
What do you mean block
and
out?
just cut out our circle.
What do you mean?
Can we go back to the Sigil map?
Sure. I like the Sigil map better than this one anyway.
It's a good map.
It's probably our most used map at this point.
Probably.
Okay.
My plan is to talk with the speakers and the Bazaar people to make sure this isn't misunderstood, but then to get the ciphers doing something, because my thinking is if we don't give them something to do, the newer ciphers, they're just going to go cause more havoc.
Okay.
Is to block off the Guildhall ward. That's ours now. And let nobody through it.
You don't have nearly the manpower for that.
That's
nearly.
fine, as long as we can block off a smaller portion then.
So, I mean, are you trying to protect the people already in the gymnasium?
Yeah, we're essentially my goal is to protect the people in the gymnasium, bring as many people as want to be in there.
Okay.
And just get a circle.
Okay.
Essentially of land to let the ciphers feel like they're doing something.
And then after Nath puts those assassins in the prison below, what's his next move? Is Nath on mute?
He might be.
Yeah, I have sendings. I've been working on the exact wording of sending.
Okay.
I have sendings to send to.
All right. So let's go ahead and take a 15-minute break.
Cool. I've been needing to Kelian for a while now.
Oh, it still says next up, a game I hate. I'll turn that off.
Jokes.
I don't hate D&D. There we go. So let's reconvene about 4:50. Go ahead and get your coffee, get your bagel, take a good Kelian, and we'll be back.